Hello, I'm Adair Watkins. I am an art teacher with St. Tammany Parish Public Schools, and today I want to talk about one of my favorite elements of art, color. So first of all, the definition: color is what is perceived when waves of light strike the retina of the eye. So let's talk about this a little bit. First of all, let's talk about the eye itself. When you have the light coming into the eye, it comes through the pupil. The pupil is the little dark spot in the middle of your eye, and it is actually a hole that allows the light to go all the way into the retina. And so it comes through the colored part of your eye is the iris, the dark part is the pupil, and then the light hits the retina, which lets it go into the optic nerve into the brain. The pupil of the eye is right here, and it opens and closes to allow light in. If it's very light outside, the pupil is going to be very, very small so that not too much light gets in and burns the retina of the eye. When it's dark inside, the pupil gets much bigger. You can look at yourself with a flashlight in a mirror and watch the pupil open and close, and it's a very interesting mechanism that we have that protects our retina. That's why you're never supposed to look directly at the sun, because if you burn your retina, you won't be able to see. So let's talk about the waves of light. Light travels in waves, just like sound travels in waves. So here are some waves. We have these waves at the top. A wavelength is measured from the top of a wave to the top of another wave. So which wave do you think is faster? The top wave, which is longer, or the bottom wave, which is shorter? Now, why would this matter? And it matters because light travels in waves, and certain colors have different wavelengths, and these are the wavelengths. So, do you think that this looks faster because it's longer, or this looks faster because it has more? Well, the correct one is that this is faster. The longer wavelength travels faster, and the shorter wavelength travels slower. One way you can think about this is if you're driving in the mountains and you need to get from point A to point B. If you have to drive over 3 mountains to get there, it's going to take you longer than if you just have to drive over 1.5 mountains to get there, or 2 mountains. You'll get there faster with this. So those are the wavelengths. When light travels, it travels in order, and the light travels in order of the wavelength. So here we can see that red has the longest wavelength and purple has the shortest wavelength. And it travels in through the pupil to the retina. And this is only the visible spectrum. This is only what we can perceive unaided, just with our eye. There are wavelengths that are faster than red, and so there's infrared that's faster than red, and there's ultraviolet that's slower than the violet on here. So these colors travel in order of their wavelength, and they make up the visible spectrum, which is the colors of the rainbow. And so when you have the spectrum, you can remember it by thinking about Roy G. Biv. Some of you have learned this already. It's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet are the colors of the spectrum. And they travel in this order because red is the fastest and violet is the slowest, and the others come in between. So first of all, when we talk about color, we want to talk about our primary colors. The primary colors that we see, white light is made up of all of the colors of light, but all of the colors are made from the primary colors. The 3 primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. And from the primary colors, we get the secondary colors. So we get, if you have your red and your yellow and your blue, if you mix your red and your yellow, you get orange, which is a secondary color. If you mix your red and your blue, you get violet, which is a secondary color. If you mix your blue and your yellow, you get green, which is a secondary color. So these colors are very important because the primary colors make up all of the colors that we see. There are also some warm colors. The warm colors are found on this side of the color wheel, and they are like the fire colors. And the cool colors are found on this side of the color wheel. So you have cool and warm colors. And then you also have complementary colors. Complementary colors are very important in mixing lots of other colors. You have their opposite on the color wheel. So if I look at the color wheel, the color that is opposite red is green. The color that is opposite orange is blue. The color opposite yellow is violet. These colors are not complements just like they look good together. They're complements because they complete each other. It's C-O-M-P-L-E instead of I. So it's like it completes the color wheel. If I have yellow and I mix it with purple, purple is actually blue and red mixed together, so it completes the color wheel. So the complementary colors are red and green, blue and orange, yellow and violet, and they're opposite on the color wheel. When you mix two complementary colors together, you get neutrals. So if you mix your colors together, you can get your browns and your grays and your blacks by mixing your colors together. In a little bit, I'm going to show you how to make a color wheel with the three primary colors using paint. Also a fun activity to do at home with making a color wheel of things that you find at your house. Thank you for joining me today. Look around, see all the beautiful color that you can find, and I will see you soon. Hi again, welcome back. I'm going to show you how to make a color wheel using acrylic paint. I use Crayola thick acrylic paint. I have my three colors, my primary colors, yellow, red, and blue. I have two paintbrushes, a cup of water, and some paper towels to dry my brush. You don't want it to be very watery when you're working with acrylic paint. I always go from the lighter to the darker colors. So I'm going to start with my primaries, and I'm going to put on my yellow first. So I fill in this little pie piece right here with my yellow. And then since I'm changing colors, I'm going to wash and dry my brush off totally. And then I'm going to go to the next darkest color, which would be my red. So I'm going to go to red right here. Now this color wheel has primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. Tertiary are the colors that come between the secondaries and the primaries. And I'll talk about those in just a little bit. So I have red, and then I'm going to wash my brush, dry it, and I'll get blue. So my blue is right here. Put that in. It's neat. And then wash and dry that brush. Then I'm going to go to my secondaries. So my first secondary color is when I mix yellow and red, I get orange. So I always start with the lightest color. So I'm going to start with my yellow, and I'll put it in here, and I'm just going to add a little bit of red at a time until I get an orange that is going to be exactly in the middle of the red and the yellow. So I'm starting to get my orange. That looks good. So I'm going to paint my orange in here. And then I'm not going to wash my brush. I'm going to take a little yellow, put it over here, mix some of that orange with the yellow. And the color that I get in between yellow and orange is yellow-orange. When you're talking about the tertiary colors, you always list the primary color first. So you have yellow-orange and then red-orange. So I'm going to put my yellow-orange right here. This is sort of a school bus color. And then if I mix, while I have that color, if I mix a little more red with my orange, then I'm going to get a red-orange. And so I paint that right here in my color wheel. Okay, then I'm going to wash my brush off. I'm going to move over to the greens. So once again, I'm going to wash and dry my brush. I'm going to start with the lightest color. So if I mix yellow and blue, yellow is the lighter color. So I take my yellow. Now this particular blue in this brand is very, very powerful. It's a super blue. And so I only use just a little bitty dot of it. And I keep adding it until I get a green. If you put too much blue in, you can't take it out again. And it would take too much yellow to change it. So once you have what you feel like is your middle green, a grass green, you're going to paint your green right in there. And then your tertiary colors on the side of that are going to be yellow, green, and blue green. So I've got my green there, and I should wash my brush, but I'm not. I'm adding a little bit of yellow to it, even though that's the lighter color to the darker color. And let's see if I get a yellow-green here. Sort of a glare, I can't really tell. And then I'm going to add a little more blue to it and make it a very pretty blue-green. So that'll go right here. Once again, I wash my brush. I dry my brush because I don't want the paint dripping. Nice and dry. And I'm going to mix my violet. So I have red and blue. So red is the lighter of the two. So I take my red, I put it in a little spot. You can do this also on styrofoam plates if you want. I think the egg cartons make lovely palettes to work with, because sometimes you can keep it overnight also. So I have my red. I'm just going to add a very little bit of blue to try to get my violet. Just a little bit more of blue to see if it's violet. Let's see, yep. Now it's going to look very dark probably in the camera because violet is a very low value color. It's the lowest of the values. But I have violet. So if I have my violet, I'm going to put a little bit there. Then I'm going to add pretty much more red to it. Get my red violet. And then I'll add some blue to the violet. A little more red. Make sure it stays violet. This blue violet is also like an indigo, like in the spectrum when we say blue, indigo, violet, it's sort of like a navy blue. So there, I have my color wheel, and I'm going to show you a little bit about mixing the complementary colors, because that's important too. I had talked about the complementary colors are opposite on the color wheel. So the reason it's important to know the complementary colors is if we're ever painting a face or anything that is a neutral color, or brown or gray or a black, you have to mix the colors to get them together. So if I start with yellow and mix it with violet, so I have yellow right here, and I mix it with some of my violet that I had mixed over here. So these two sort of make, it's still a little green. I don't want it to look like any one of the colors. I'm going to mix it so it's totally neutral. It's like in Louisiana we have neutral grounds. They're right in between. So this color is not really yellow, it's not violet, it's a neutral. Same thing with orange and blue. If I start with my orange over here, and I add just a little bit of blue. And it should give me, let's make it more orange. And it gives me sort of a brownish color here. On the inside, another neutral. And then if I want to add, once again, my red and my green are my other complementary colors. Now, if you're trying to mix a neutral and it looks too red, I'll say neutralize it, and you always neutralize by adding the opposite color. So this is red and green, and this is going between these two colors, and it's another neutral. So you get your neutrals by mixing your primary colors. You can get all of the colors that you need to make paintings from using the primary colors. Thank you for joining me for this, and I hope you enjoy painting. Students who are in my class may find the blank color wheel on my Moodle page, and you can paint your own or make your own with crayons or anything you happen to have at home. Thank you.